dear devotees. Welcome to BhagavatSanga program. This is our Śrīmad Bhāgavatam program where we read prayers of pure devotees. The current theme is prayers of King Satyavrata. These are from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, chapter 24, verses 46 to 53. Today we have a very wonderful devotee, Shikha Mataji, who will be presenting these verses and sharing her realizations. Hare Krishna Mataji, over to you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, we'll start with the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naran Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayamudirayet. Shunvatam Swakatha Krishna. पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तः स्तोह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I want to thank Satyasai Prabhu and Mataji for giving me this opportunity and to Veena Mataji and Prashant Prabhu for encouraging us to participate in this and learn through this process. And I'm very thankful to devotees who have joined today to encourage us. So please forgive me if I make any mistakes. So we are going to be studying prayers of Satyavrata, King Satyavrata. And it's from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, chapter 24. Beautiful prayers. And as you can see here, these prayers and this story is all about the first avatar of Lord Krishna, the Matsya avatar, and how this whole Matsya avatar is teaching us so many things to follow from spiritual path perspective. So just historical background, like we know that these prayers are from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and Maharaj Parikshit is actually inquiring here from Sukdev Goswami, like what is the purpose of this Matsya avatar? Because Lord is free from all modes of nature, and unlike human beings, he is not bound by law of karma. So why did God have to come in form of a fish which is condemned and they have a painful life? When God has choices and free will, why would God come in a gory form like fish? So that was a question from Parikshit Maharaj. And we all know that he's a pure devotee, and the reason he's asking all these questions is for hearing these pastimes, because hearing the pastimes of the Lord is auspicious for everyone, the one who is asking the question, the one who is narrating, and people like us who are listening and reading about this as well. So then Sukdev Goswami ji answers that why does God take the form of incarnation? So how he beautifully answers is that he actually incarnates for protection of cows and brahmanas. And we know that Lord Krishna is also described as Go Brahmana Hitayacha. So he protects cows and brahmanas. And through his example, Gaucharan Leela, like we see that he's setting an example that in our society as devotees and as responsible citizens, we have to take care of cows and brahmanas. And only when we take care of cows and brahmanas would we be able to achieve the purpose of life, be able to protect our Vedic literature, and be able to protect the religious principles as well. So it actually starts with protection of cows and brahmanas. And then we will see in this prayer that he's also incarnates for protection of demigods, the devotees, for Vedic literature and our religious purposes as well, principles. So the Matsya avatar, like we were talking, is the first avatar which Lord took. And this Matsya avatar actually came twice in two different kalpas. The first one was to rescue the Devas. So this was at the beginning of Swayambhuva Manvantara. And basically how it goes is that Brahma's day was getting over, and at the end of Brahma's day, he felt sleepy and he fall asleep. And as he was sleeping and desiring to lie down, the the Vedas were emanating from his mouth. And as the Vedas were emanating from his mouth, a huge demon called Hayagriva actually stole the Vedic knowledge. And because everything was inundated with water at that point of time, God had to come in the Matsya form or the fish form to protect the Vedas. So, like we were seeing in the previous slide, that to protect the religious principles, to protect our scriptures, God takes an avatar. So that here we see that how, in order for us to for protecting the Vedas, God actually took the form of Matsya avatar, killed the demon, and actually restored the Vedas back to Brahma. The second one, which we are going to discuss in detail today, is at the end of Chakshusha Manvantara, and this is when God knew that there is a cosmic deluge or pralaya which is going to happen, which is going to destroy all the three different planets, Bhur, Bhuva, and Swaha planets, and God knew that, so he wanted to guide Satyavrata, his devotee, and actually steer his boat as well. So not only give him knowledge and insight of what's happening, foretelling some of that, but also being by his side and helping him at every step. And the purpose, like we were talking, is to preserve the life and dharma from this devastation. So two Matsya avatars in two different kalpas. So beautiful story of King Satyavrata, and how he was a very righteous and very austere king. He was doing austerity, and he was making offerings in Kritamala river. And as he was making the offering, he took some water in his hand to do the offering. And while he was doing that, a small fish actually came in his hand. And that actually was the Matsya avatar, like that fish form, but he did not know. So he thought that it's an ordinary fish. He was throwing it back in the river. And that fish actually asked for protection, requested for the protection. And Satyavrata king was full of compassion, and he decided to take care of the fish. And he first put it in the jug, then the fish expanded. He put it in the well, it expanded. Then he put it in the lake and it expanded. And when he put in the ocean, she actually requested, she was expanding, and at that point of time he was bewildered and he wanted to know. He recognized that it's not an ordinary fish and it's Supreme Personality of Godhead. And at that point of time he offered the prayers to the Lord, and then Lord also foretold him about the inundation which is going to happen, where the three worlds are going to get destroyed. And then he also gave him specific instructions of what he needs to do at that point of time. And the instructions were that there will be a large boat which will come when the pralaya happens. He doesn't need to worry. He needs to collect the herbs, the seeds, the scriptures, the 7 Maharishis, and then also all the other species in a large boat. And there will be a serpent, Vasuki serpent. He just has to put that boat on the horn of the large fish, which was God himself. And just to give you an idea of the scale, that horn of the fish itself was 800 million in terms of height. So that's what were all the instructions. And then God said that he's going to personally protect. So while this seems like a story, it's actually not a story, because all these are not mythological stories. Everything in Bhagavatam has happened, and it is coming in disciplic succession to us. But there are some key learnings which are coming from each of these gestures which are happening. So just the austerity of king and the compassion which he had, where even though he was king, he was not involved in worldly pleasures, but instead was leading an austere life. And as he was serving, all this Ajnat Sukriti was coming to him when he decided to protect the fish. I mean, his deciding to protect the fish also shows that he was very compassionate. And when we are compassionate, God's mercy actually flows. And how the fish kept growing, which shows that how God has unlimited powers of expanding unlimitedly. And then the fish, the surrender to the Lord. So when he saw that the fish is expanding, from curiosity of why it's happening, it moved into surrender to the Supreme Lord. And then Lord also gave the instructions, foretold what is going to happen. And sometimes it happens to us as well, where we get early warnings and early signs or direction from the Lord. So Lord does provide forewarning to his devotees. And he always, time and again, we have seen that he protects his devotees. And this is one great example where he's protecting his devotees. And devotees is not just human beings, it's species, it's scriptures, it's Maharishis and spices, all of those things. And then Lord not only guides and foretells, but he personally accompanies and protects us. So he's always with us. And this story gives us an assurance as well. And we hear in Bhagavatam in so many stories that little service, even Agnat Sukriti, even if we do not know, becomes a permanent asset, and anything which we do, devotional service, it becomes an eternal asset for us. So that is few learnings from the story of Satyavrata. And then the story continues that actually the prayer started happening, everything became dark, the water was overflowing, and the Saptarishis came, and in the darkness what was shining was the body of those Saptarishis. And then like God had promised, the big fish came, the boat came, and King Satyavrata loaded everything, um, tied it with the serpent Vasuki, and the boat was moving through the fish incarnation. And as all this was happening, King Satyavrata actually was offering prayers. He was in a very prayerful mood. And we will see in these prayers that there was no fear. There was only gratitude and austerity in those prayers as well. I mean, at this point, we will see like some of those, and like we were saying that we will go verse by verse. Just some key messages, beautiful purports by Srila Prabhupada in each of these prayers. So we will just discuss what's the key theme of each of those verses, and what is the point which Srila Prabhupada is trying to bring through these teachings. So the prayers start with verse number 46, where like we were talking about Agnyat Sukriti, with like that small fish came in, and king was compassionate, and that devotional service which he was doing. So this Sukriti which happens, and when Guru comes in our life, or when pure devotees come in our life, it is because of causeless mercy of the Lord and of the devotees. And basically what Srila Prabhupada is explaining is that Lord who is present in our heart as super soul actually arranges these pure devotees, so that these souls can meet these pure devotees. And this bhakti which starts in our life is because of causeless mercy of those pure devotees and the Lord. So that's the message from the first verse, which is 46th. The 47th verse which is here is like what is the position of our spiritual master. And here what they're saying is that what King Satyavrata is acknowledging is that Lord is the eternal Guru, and they're using this term Param Guru, so that he is the eternal Guru. And what Prabhupada is stressing is that the bona fide Guru is one who represents Krishna and repeats his message without any change. So they are coming in disciplic succession, coming from Lord Krishna himself, who is Param Guru, and then coming in the lineage as well. So first we get pure devotees, association, then like verse 47 says is then we get association of Krishna through our spiritual master. So next one is 48. Devotional service to the Lord is superior to worshipping demigods. And I think this is something which Prabhupada ji stresses a lot in all of his books, that he does not want us to go step by step, like he wants us to take us through the elevator to what is the true knowledge. And here King Satyavrata is also beautifully distinguishing that bhakti to demigod is not equal to bhakti to Krishna. And here he is emphasizing, Srila Prabhupada ji, that demigods are not independent of Lord Shri Krishna. They actually act according to Krishna's orders. And then the only devotion to Krishna will bring us freedom from our repeated birth and death cycle. So when we are offering prayers, we respect the demigods, but our prayers should be directed to Lord Shri Krishna, who helps to purify our contamination and helps us to move away from the cycle of repeated birth and death. The next one, which we touched, 49th, is just like when gold is put into fire, it gets purified. And in the same way, when we start doing our devotional service, all our anarthas start getting removed. And even if we do not know, so that Ajnat Sukriti, it actually benefits the soul and actually brings us to a place where we are cleansing our hearts. So that's something which service to the devotional service to the Lord does. So that's first part of King Satyavrata's prayers. Moving on to the next slide. So then he talks about the relationship which is there between us and Lord, and it's very beautiful because no matter where the soul is in the journey, like here we are seeing, like it's devotees, it's the scriptures, it's religious principles, it's cows, it's brahmanas, it's different species. So all of these, so each one of us has a very unique relationship with the Lord. And Lord sitting in our heart as Paramatma is actually guiding our is our inner guide, and he's actually guiding our soul, just like he was guiding us, King Satyavrata as well. And what Srila Prabhupada is saying is that Lord is actually our true friend and our true guide. And only thing is why we are not able to realize that inner voice and able to realize that God is our true friend is because of our contamination and because of our ignorance and lusty desires. Verse number 51, my favorite verse here, because we all know that we have bondages and those shackles seem so strong that we are not even, I mean, it's those shackles are invisible and they are so strong and we do not even realize that we are so badly bound by them. And here King Satyavrata is actually a pure devotee and a very austere devotee, but still he's saying that please cut the hard knots of false ego and material desires in my heart. And Prabhupada notes that these knots are actually binding the soul for repeated birth and death. And who can sever these hard knots of false ego and material desires? That it's only mercy of the Lord. And it's mercy of the Lord through his bona fide devotees. So it's only through Krishna's and Guru's grace can we be removed from those shackles. And we have to repeatedly pray to Lord to actually cut these hard knots of false ego and material desires. The next verse is verse number 52. Prayer, please instruct me about destination of life and grant me unflinching devotion to you. And devotional service, like here it is said that it's not a destination. It's not like a point of time that we do this and we are able to achieve it. It is a continuous flow. And it's not something we just achieve as a milestone and we say we are done. It is our true nature and it is our true destination of the soul. It's not point of time. And what he's asking for is for steady devotion, unflinching devotion. And what Srila Prabhupada is saying in his purport is that bhakti is the process and it's the goal as well. So we always think about the goal, but we have to see that the journey itself is also part of the process. So we have to enjoy the process because it's the process and the goal. Both bhakti is there. So he's emphasizing on that. And then he's saying that we are able to achieve this only through bhakti and not by mental speculation. So it's only through bhakti, through devotional service and through grace of Lord and Guru can we cut those knots and then also be steady in our path of devotion. And the last prayer which he had, the last one is actually continue to guide them, and this is where then God's actually starts. So then seeing this prayerful attitude of King Satyavrata, and then good, I mean, one thing to note is that God actually is leveraging Satyavrata, King Satyavrata, to give this knowledge, but also taking that King Satyavrata as a leader for protecting this world, because God also works through devotees, and we are seeing that how King Satyavrata has been chosen as a leader to help Lord at the time of this prayer. Lord doesn't need any help, but he does these pastimes with his devotees. So then after Satyavrata Muni did his prayers, then actually Lord started, and it's in the boat, and then Lord was accompanying the boat, and Lord actually gave assurance here about the protection. He gave the guidance, and he actually revealed all the spiritual truth to not only Satyavrata Muni, but also the seven saints which were sitting, and all the species who were sitting, and this way God was able to protect them, also preserve the Vedas. And then he also established Satyavrata king as Vevasvita Manu, which is the current Manu which we have. And we are very thankful to King Satyavrata for his prayerful questions and inquiry, which blessed him with knowledge, and then also leadership, and gave us this beautiful pages in these scriptures through which we could learn from King Satyavrata through his prayers. So like I said, I mean, I really like this whole few pages of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and very, very inspiring. But for me, verse number 51 was my favorite, that which is prayer of cutting the false ego and material desires in my heart. Thank you, Veena Mataji. I think this ends my presentation for today.
Hare Krishna Mataji, that was such an amazing presentation. Thank you so much. Really like how you put all the summary in the slides and made it very crisp and very clear for us to follow. Thank you so much, Mataji, for doing that. And so nicely you explained. You started out with why Lord accepts the various forms of incarnation for providing protection. And there was a very clear distinction between the two Matsya avatars, when he comes, what actions he takes. And then you nicely picked up all the verses and gave us the key theme of them and what is it that we need to learn from these prayers. 3 points I'll quickly touch upon, Mataji, is we have to be very, very careful with how we behave and how we respect Guru, because Guru represents Lord. He is talking what Lord is, as Lord. He's representing Lord. So his instructions are as important as Lord himself speaking. So Mataji, while you were explaining, I'll quickly share. I just thought of, if the president of the nation wants to talk to you, but he sends his secretary, you are going to give equal respect to him and listen to him. So I was just thinking of that when you were explaining it, that we have to be, in Krishna consciousness, respecting Guru, listening to Guru, taking his instruction is very, very important for us. And the other part which comes is the devotional service. Devotional service, as the slide is also showing, it's the true destination of the soul. Like anything that we do in this life will be carried forward, but anything material we do is not carried forward in next life. So we should be surrendering to Lord's will. And also the point that you made, that because of our lust, because of our conditioning, we are not able to hear the super soul, the Lord. We're not able to hear him as get his instructions. That is the one blocking for us, and the devotional service is the one which is going to purify us. So it is extremely important, these 2 points, that devotional service and respecting Guru is the key message. And as you said, Satyavrata Muni, King Satyavrata, he really, these prayers are very beautiful, and we should be so grateful that he gave us these prayers. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for so nicely summarizing these prayers and for helping us all devotees and personally engaging yourself week after weeks for so many years. And we are all so benefited and so blessed, Mataji, for the program which you're running.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Mataji. With that, devotees, we will conclude the Bhagavad Sangha program today. Thank you all for joining. See you all next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very much.